Hello everybody. Today in this part of the lesson about HTTP response, I'd like to talk about an example in which I show you how to set a response header yourself. And in this case, we are going to set the header refresh. And this header tells the browser to automatically refresh the display every certain number of seconds, and it's quite useful for a certain type of web application. For example, if you want to create a web application that shows stock prices, you know that for typical web application, the user has to manually click refresh in order to send a new request to the server to retrieve updated information. Now, to display stock prices, which change all the time, you obviously don't want your users to manually click refresh button themselves. And so what we can do is we can set this refresh header so the browser automatically refresh instead of user having to do that manually. So now I'm going to call this example countdown. Okay, so let's take a look at the demo first. In this demo, we perform countdown from 10 to 0 and then do something, let's say print out this string, and you'll see after I run this application. Run add, run on server, finish. Okay, you can see here the counter automatically count down from 10 to 0, and then after that the application prints this string, have performed refresh automatically 10 times. So notice that the refresh is performed automatically. You remember I put the mouse cursor here and I don't press the refresh button or press the F5 key. So we can do this by setting the value for the header refresh. And now I'm gonna explain the main point of how to do this. So first we'll create a counter that starts with 10, and then let's do the display here. So we'll use an if statement to check if the counter is 0 or not. And if it hasn't reached 0, let's set the refresh header here, and then decrease the counter. Else we perform display something like this string here. Okay, so that means that if the counter is already 0, just display a message that says something like this. If it's not 0, what we do is we display the value of the counter, and then we set a response header, and the header we set is refresh, and the value we're going to set is 1, and that means the browser should automatically refresh after 1 second. And then we decrement the counter. If we change the counter is 12 and the browser refresh after 5 seconds, then you can see here, if we change this one is 12 and this one we change to 5, then we run again, then you will see that the counter will decrease more slowly, and it starts with 10. It starts with 12 and then decrease slowly from 12 to 0. So this time the counter decrease more slowly than the first example, because in this time we refresh after 5 seconds instead of after 1 second. So the key point to remember is that in order to set a header, you have to specify two things. The first one is the header name, and the second one is value, like this. The header name and the value. And when you perform this statement, the browser will automatically refresh after one second. So the browser automatically refresh basically because of the refresh header. So this example just show you how to manually set a response header, and in this case is refresh header. And you don't have to do this most of the time, but for certain type of special scenarios you might need to do this. And that's it for this part of the lesson.